All right, so the next step that I'm going to focus on in this project is really dialing in the drum production. Now, I still don't know. I don't have a complete sense and a feel for exactly how I want the drums to sound, but let me be honest with you here about something that I've heard this been said so many times where someone will say, like, I heard it in my head and then I put it down in the song. Which, sure, I've had that happen to me too, but I actually prefer, I think it is actually better in a lot of ways to throw things against the wall and wait for something to stick than it is to first have to have it in your head before you go about it. Because the problem with thinking that you have to have the idea in your head before you start, the likelihood of you actually starting just goes down precipitously because you're just waiting for it to show up in your head. And that I don't think that's an approach that you should embrace. If it happens, it happens. If you hear something in your head, you're like, and that gets you excited, you can be like, you know what, let's go. I'm gonna put this down and know exactly what I want it to sound like. But for the most part, I think it's a better idea, again, just to experiment, throw things against the wall and see where it goes and just have an ear for it and listen to what is working and what isn't working. So we're going to dive into the drum production. We're going to experiment. This is going to be a lot of fun. And I'm going to really focus on, this is why I included this concept in the guide, this concept of compartmentalizing. So for right now, for the next few minutes, I am just going to focus on drums. I'm not going to worry about anything else. I'm not going to worry about synths or pads or bass, just drums. And I'm going to compartmentalize it in my head. And that's all I'm going to focus on. So let's get this started. How do you want to start this? I think the first thing I'm going to do is, why don't we just browse through some loops? Let's just do that. I am going to open up my loop library. So I've downloaded a bunch of loops over the years and I've organized them very well. So I know my loop library in my files pretty well. So I'm just going to hit play. I'm going to loop the song. And what I'm going to do here then is any time that whenever I hear a loop that has either the entirety of the loop I like or just one little snippet of the loop I like, I'm going to drag that into my session. And then I'm going to keep sifting through and see if I hear anything that I find appealing as I'm playing the rest of the song here. So let's give that a shot. Here we go.
Summers are cold, winters are warm, you're not here. The colors are gone, the black and the white is all I see now.
Again, this is under a folder called Texture Lo-Fi Beats. So some of these are probably not going to fit that well, but again, this is all about experimentation. So I'm going to drag it in anyway. Just anything that I think sounds interesting to me, I'm going to drag it in, and then I can always mute and unmute as I please.
Just wish you were here.
And then we'll keep going.
What a time, what a time, what a time, what a time it was. I know it's stupid, but I wish that I could wish.
That one's not bad. All right, now I'm going to try a different folder here in my drum loops section. So let's just try sort of generic pop loop, see if I can find anything interesting.
Oh, winters are warm, you're not here. Driving a car at 25 is that feeble attempt to feel something good.
I'm a huge fan. I've used this loop before. So it's one of those loops that you can use kind of as a filler, maybe at the end of a verse or as part of the transition going from one section to the next. It's just a cool loop. And I definitely want to save this one just in case I might want to put it somewhere. So we got that one. Let's keep going, see if we can find more things. That one's dope. Really like that one. Really like that one. Listen to how this loop sounds. Love that.
I just wish you were here again.
Okay, so I'm gonna leave that for now. We got just a few loops that we can experiment with. And I think the one that I definitely like is this one. There's this last one I added here. That hi-hat pattern just fits so well with that piano track. And now what I'm gonna do is pull in addictive drums. So I'm gonna try perhaps using my own rhythms and recording in my own MIDI patterns with addictive drums. So we pull that in and let's see what we can come up with.
Winters are warm, you're not here. Colors are gone, the black and the white is all I see now. You and tequila doesn't taste right.
Yeah, I'm just trying some different things here. Not sure how I would wanna, like, I don't even think I want drums here. The thing about this song is it almost has like a Phineas vibe to it. And if you listen to Phineas's productions, when he has this type of piano-driven ballad type of song, often the drums are very filtered out. They're very complementary. They're not, driving the beat in any strong or overly harsh way. And so I think that's more what I'm feeling. And I don't think I even want any drums until we get to verse 2. I think it sounds really good to have this very piano-centric through verse 1, through chorus 1, and then that interlude. And then I think when verse 2 hits, we could perhaps come in with just a kick drum or a very basic pattern. So that's kind of what I'm feeling right now. So let's see what we can do there.
Pictures on my phone, deleted them all except for one. I made a photograph.
This could be interesting. I'm gonna try something. I'm gonna pull in a delay, believe it or not. And I'm gonna see, and then I'm just gonna use the kick drum for this.
These pictures on my phone, deleted them all except for one. I made a photograph just to have something physical to remain. As I think of seem to fall apart, why does that thing?
I brought it. Yeah, so I'm turning up the diffusion here, which is basically adding space and reverb to the sound, to the delay signal. And I'm having to turn the mix knob a good bit down.
These pictures on my phone, deleted them all except for one.
Like, I think I want more of that feel than a straight up 4 on the floor feel for this part. I think that's what I'm sensing is going to work best in the moment right now. So I'm gonna see if I can record something cool.
These pictures on my phone, deleted them all except for one. I made a photograph just to have something physical to remain. As I think of seem to fall apart, why does that thing seem to fall apart? It's so predictable, but I like to think.
Okay, we don't need that last little kick run I added. Yeah, so this is the last little one we don't need. But overall, I think that's an interesting thing. And one thing that I want you to notice about this process is I'm not locking in on it has to sound exactly this way. I'm experimenting and I'm waiting for a recording that sounds really good, that sounds close, and then I might make some small edits, but I'll just kind of trust my intuition in the recording process. And if it sounds good to me, I'm going to save it as for what it is. I'm not going to try to create this illusion of perfection in my head. Instead, I'm just going to keep recording until I find something that sounds good. And then if that is the best that I came up with in that time span, then that's the best I came up with. That's what I'm going to use.
These pictures on my phone, deleted them all except for one. I made a photograph just to have something physical to remain. As I think of seem to fall apart. Why does that thing go seem to fall apart?
As you notice here, I'm using a high cut inside of Addictive Drums on the master channel. That way, this entire kick drum track is super filtered out and it gives it kind of a vibey feel. I kind of dig it. Let's come back here again.
These pictures on my phone, deleted them all except for one. I made a photograph just to have something physical to remain. As I think of seem to fall apart. Why does that thing go seem to fall apart? It's so big.
I dig that. I think what I might want to change.
These pictures on my phone, deleted them all except for one. I made a
What I'm going to change here is with this delay. So I'm going to switch this to one of these. I'll maybe go with pitch duck because I want to be able to use the ducking feature here. So I have to switch the mode in Valhalla Delay to a mode that allows for ducking because I want the delay to duck out of the way whenever the dry kick drum is hitting. So let's see what we got here. I think that works. Let's hear it in the mix here.
These pictures on my phone, deleted them all except for one. I made a photograph just to have something physical to remain. As I think of seem to fall apart. Why does that thing go seem to fall apart?
For this, now I'm just going to select these and I'm going to quantize it at 50%. That way it tightens it up a bit. And there was one little moment here. I think here, let me see, where was it? Was it here maybe? There, I think they're a little bit, yeah, they're a little bit off. I'm going to bring just all of them need to come back. There we go.
If we tried again, I just wish you were here again. And I just wish you were here. What a time, what a time, what a time, what a time it was. Oh, I know it's stupid.
I think actually I am loving how unusual this sort of beat is. And I can do this because in my head I know that it's not going to sound like a normal just acoustic drum with all the high frequency, acoustic drums and with the acoustic kick with all the high frequencies. It's going to be filtered out. You're going to feel it more than you hear it. And that's why I'm being a bit more aggressive with the rhythm aspect of it, because I know that, again, you're going to feel it more than you hear it. It's not going to distract because it'll be so filtered out. It won't be super upfront in the mix. And I think it'll work.
We'd make it if we tried again. I just wish you were here again. And I just wish you were here. What a time.
to the instrumental.
You back.
Actually, I pretty much know for a fact that I don't want any drums when this instrumental starts, because I want to really bring in the drums over here, right, where this loop starts. Yeah, so. Love that. I love that. I'm not going to change, I don't think, really anything. And this, by the way, is the value of, and I'm a huge proponent of this. Notice how the drums, or that kick drum in the first chorus, or the second chorus rather, when the drums start, is different than the final chorus. So we're adding variation on a small level, because the more variations you add on the small levels, then the more of an impact it will have in the big picture of things. Because here in this chorus, the drums sounded like, right? With that, and then here, it's just a bit more laid back. I love that. One thing to keep in mind when you're dealing with kick drums like this, especially when you have loops combined with your own programmed drums, is I'm gonna add an EQ to this loop, because I don't want the sub frequencies in this loop. We're getting the sub frequencies from the kick drum. So we can filter out the bottom end of this loop. We don't need all that. We just need this up here. I'll go with that. I think that should work. Let me turn off that click, and let's come back here. And obviously we want to keep that going, so this kind of starts at a not the usual place. So I'm going to duplicate this loop to come back and start here when the chorus comes in. And we'll duplicate that over. Now, in order to tighten this up, again, I'm going to quantize this at 50%. Now, one very important tip here about quantization is you need to make sure that if you have, like, I have some 16th notes here. And that's important because if this up here was set, like if the timeline was set at 8th note or quarter note, if I would have quantized these notes, it would not have quantized it toward a 16th note, which would have really screwed with these 16th note rhythms I have here on those faster riffs with the kick drum. And so make sure that when you're quantizing that your timeline actually makes sense for what you're trying to quantize to.
I just wish you were here again, and I just wish you were here. What a time, what a time, what a time, what a time it was. Oh, I know it's stupid, but I wish that I.
All right, I think we're good there. So I'm going to come back here to verse 2. I'm going to listen to it one more time through, see if I hear anything that I want to adjust for right now. Now, there probably will be a couple edits that I'll still do to make sure that the drums don't sound distracting at all and at any part of the song and all of that. But I think at this stage, we're still in that experimental stage. We're still in the stage where we're just trying to finish, like, this is what the production sounds like. Let's finish that. But I'm not trying to be 100% edit everything completely, because that is more what we will get into as we finalize the track in step 7. So you don't have to be perfect. It's okay if there's still some unplugged holes in your tracks when you're still at this stage of recording and producing in these tracks. Now, I could keep going forever, right? I could just keep doing this, and I could keep browsing through a bunch of different loops. But I'm not going to do that because, I think at some point, especially within the context of this course, I'm not going to try to overwhelm you with all the different possibilities. And instead, I'm going to try to keep it as focused and narrow as possible. But before we move on from the drums, let's actually take a look and see if we can incorporate these 3 loops here that we dragged in from earlier, and see if there is any place for them to reside in this song. So let's listen to what this loop sounds like.
I just wish you were here again, and I'm stupid, but I wish that I could wish you back.
So we could almost do like a, this is why I love using loops for this type of thing as transition, kind of chop it up, see if you can just use one snippet of it. Right, you could kind of do something there. We could put some effects on it. Let's run some RC20 presets through this and see what we can come up with. So I'm gonna just loop this so we can really just hear that over and over. Yeah, so I didn't hear anything there that was especially appealing to me. So what I think perhaps we just need to do is run it through a bit of distortion, and then within the distortion here, I'm going to EQ it as well, so we can kind of EQ out those high frequencies and give it a bit of a blanketed sound. And also, I think some reverb. So I'm going to try the One Knob Wetter by Waves. Huge fan of One Knob plugins. Super easy. Yes, I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to add one more OTT to really kind of squash it. And then it's going to be way in the back of the mix. But because of OTT, it's going to help squash it so it can still be heard. I'm gonna really turn it down. That's interesting to me, right? It's just a cool thing. Again, you can always, if you don't end up liking it, that's completely fine. But as of now, in the moment, I think it's cool. I'm gonna put it there. And then another thing that's just dope about these types of loops is if it works in one transition, you can probably duplicate it and use it at other points in the song. So let's go ahead and duplicate this, see if we can use this at a couple other places as well. Okay, so I found 4 places there where I think that loop could sound really good as just a nice little textured transition piece in this song. And one more thing I want to try with this loop is how does it sound if we reverse it? So I'm going to come here, Command R, reverse it. I love reversing sounds. And so, okay, maybe we could use that. I don't know if I'm going to use this anywhere, but I always like to test it out because reverse sounds just have such a cool flavor to them.
Summers are cold, winter. Summers.
Doesn't quite fit. So I think I'll drop that. But as you can hear, there's so much potential when you reverse sounds like this. So I always like to test it out, see if anything works. All right, so we got that loop added, and by implementing it here, as you can see, we're just kind of broadening out that drum production. We're adding some variation, adding some interesting color to it. Now let's check out this other loop that we put in earlier. I don't even think I like this one anymore. Yeah, I'm just gonna delete that one. Just another point as well is as soon as you don't like something, just throw it off your DAW. Like throw it out of the track, out of the song project. You don't need it. There are so many possibilities, and so if you really feel skeptical or you're like, I don't think I like it, then the chances of you liking it in the future are very low. So in the off chance that you were to still end up liking it, there's actually more of a chance if you explored other tracks and other loops and other sounds that you would still like that better, even if you ended up liking your original track more than you do now. So that's just a little rant. I would say trust your intuition, really become, use the, I guess you call it like the yes-no binary, right? Just say yes, no, do I like it, do I not? Try to stay away from the gray area as much as possible when it comes to deciding which sounds you like and which ones you don't. Because if you don't, you're just gonna pull in, you're just gonna overwhelm yourself with so many different tracks, so many different things that maybe could work, and instead just really pay attention and keep the ones that you know you like. Because that is when you should, when you're cutting and editing things out and deciding which of these components to keep, you should like almost all of them. And it should kind of hurt to like delete it, but it's like, well, I'm gonna give more precedence and I want this other track because I like this one even better and I'm gonna prioritize that over this one that I also like. But anyway, that was just a little rant there. So let's listen to this final little loop here that we pulled in earlier. It's like a lo-fi thing. I also don't think that one fits for this track. And then that's all we got.
These pictures on my phone, deleted them all except for one. Try it again.
Okay, so that one there I need to fix. That kick drum, even though it's technically on the beat, because of the piano chords come in. Yeah, the piano chords come in early there on like an off beat, and I think I want to double that with the kick drum. I want those to hit at the same time. There we go. Yeah. Gonna move these around a little bit.
And I just wish you were here. What a time, what a time, what a time, what a time it was. Oh, I know it's stupid, but I wish that I could wish you back.
All right, we'll just listen to this instrumental one more time. Love that chord.
What a time, what a time, what a time.
So, my friend, we've got a drum production locked in. Now, of course, we can change it. We can make adjustments. We can keep experimenting with different things as this song continues to develop and as we take it closer and closer to the finish line. But this is so relieving when you reach this point because we have 3 drum tracks here. We've got that main kick. We've got that loop that comes in the instrumental. And then we've got that little transition loop that we chopped up and used just part of the loop as a transition and then we just used that a few times, duplicated it. And then that is our current drum production. It's very simple at this point. It's very minimal. There's only 3 tracks, but this is a great place to start from. So we now have a baseline. We now have a structure from which we can then build off of if we want to, or we can just keep it super minimal like it is now. But this is where it is going to start. And that is a super key thing to have, is when you can build that foundation and actually have something from which to stem out of. And then you can, because that then frees you up to where at least you have a little bit of structure. Because the problem with creativity is the dire lack of structure. So if you can just introduce a little bit of order, a little bit of structure, it actually can help you be more creative. Because and I know I've mentioned this before on my YouTube channel, I think, but it's like a piece of paper. It's like if the entire world is your canvas, you're not going to be very creative. But if I give you a piece of paper that's just this size, that's when you can create art. So I've boxed myself in to these 3 tracks as the baseline from which now the rest of the drum production, if there even is any more to add to this drum production, it is going to be built off of this. So that is the drums. I'm gonna call the drums finished, at least for now. And now I'm gonna go and we're gonna dive into things like the bass and maybe add some guitars and different things like that. So let's move on to that.